Hello everyone, welcome back to GGN. This is part 4, the final part for today. It's Wednesday, February 13th, 2013. I'm Darko. This first article I have up is time for school recess to come out of hiding. This is after we got to this article here, 23% of Americans are illiterate. But it goes on and it says that for many years, for years actually, many schools have been cutting back on recess as they try to squeeze more instruction time out of the day, i.e. Indoctrination. I'm sorry, but I just what I think is happening. Now everyone from health experts to Ranger Rick argues that it's important to bring it back. Abundance of research supports that the logic that kids' health, social skills, and brain power all benefit from the time to play outside. Says, but millions of kids aren't getting the recommended 20 minutes of burn off some steam time every day, survey shows, let alone 60 minutes of daily physical activity that the CDC says lack of recess means even less time outdoors for kids who already spend a lot of time, indoor time, huddled with electronic media. Schoolboy 12 hanged himself in bedroom after mother confiscated his mobile phone following 2 days of arguing. Says here he's been rowing with his mother. Well-respected pupil pronounced dead at the hospital. Kane was found by brother 40 minutes after saying he was going to his room. So, pretty crazy. Says here he had spent 2 days arguing with his mother, Veronica Lee, and was discovered just 40 minutes after saying he was going to his room to listen to music. So it says here the mother said, I don't think he actually wanted to kill himself. I don't think he wanted to live the life he had anymore, but I don't think he wanted to die. I think it was a cry for help. Next up, researchers dumbfounded by Philadelphia's 70% increase in type 1 diabetes under the age of 5. Says it was announced on February 3rd that between 1985 and 2005, researchers took a registry of young patients in Philadelphia. They found a staggering increase, 70% in fact, in children under 5 having type 1 diabetes. So it goes on here and it says that type 1 diabetes, the type in which patients are dependent on insulin use, used to be considered a disease that begins in adolescence, but this new evidence indicates that it is showing up in babies and toddlers as well. Symptoms to watch for in young children include extreme thirst and frequent urination. Therefore, bedwetting accidents and abnormally wet diapers in babies can be telltale signs. Texas teen sues parents to avoid abortion. Girl claims parents are trying to force her to end pregnancy. Says a pregnant 16-year-old in Texas has won a temporary restraining order after taking her parents to court to stop them from forcing her to get an abortion. The unnamed girl claims that in the lawsuit that her father said the decision was his. End of story. Wow, that's pretty fucked up. As if the girl's mother invited the paternal grandparents to a bar for further discussion where she suggested that she might slip her an abortion pill. So both parents have used verbal and physical threats in an attempt to force her to have an abortion, according to the lawsuit, kept her out of school and harassed the baby's father as well as his mother. So it's an interesting point made by this lawyer for the Texas Center of Defense of Life. What Roe established is minors have the choice. Just they want to promote it. They want to promote promiscuity. They want to promote contraceptive and abortions and stuff like that, says her lawyer. And when they do make the choice, folks are shocked that they may actually want to carry the baby. God, oh, wow. Pastor to Tennessee, give me back my snakes. So this is kind of like from the X-Files episode, if you remember that one. From back in the day, pastor needs confiscated creatures for worship services. Kentucky pastor used his snakes in worship services and would like the snakes that Tennessee recently confiscated given back to him. It says Gregory Jamie Coots went to Alabama last month to buy 3 rattlesnakes and 2 copperheads, but was stopped in Knoxville while driving home because an officer notices tinted windows. See, I told you, it's the tinted windows will get you every time. Only they could have. Only the thieves, the murderers, the kidnappers can have tinted windows to block out their evil faces. The officer spotted the snakes, and then the Wildlife Resources Agency got involved. So he wanted to know if I had any documentation, and I told him no. So he said came back, so he was going to take the snakes to containers, because everything has to be documented, so seal-coded, bar-coded, and everything, right? So he's charged with illegal possession and transportation of wildlife, which is probably like a federal charge, too. He was placed on probation in Kentucky in 2008 under similar charges, no surprise, but says he now has a permit. So he has permission from the parents, from the government, that he can move snakes, something that the government created. No, they didn't create the snakes, I'm sorry. but they're going to enforce it, right? They need documentation for something that they own, which is everything. They own the earth, they own the trees, they own the air, which is why they poison it, including the water. They poison it, the food, they poison it. So, litter police, including the animals, right? The beef, the meat, and all that. Litter police to punish spitting in the street with on the spot £80 fine. They're deploying litter police to find people who drop rubbish, extend penalties to anyone caught spitting or urinating in public. So I wonder if they'll get fined for spraying aerosols in the air, which kill trees and plants and make people sick, get a little nanofibers in their lungs and in their blood. No, they're not going to do a damn thing about that. Council was able to get around the bureaucracy of introducing bylaw by classifying spit as a waste. So £80 for spitting on the road. Old man robs bank so he can go back to prison. So this is again like a movie or like a show. It's like Shawshank Redemption. So he said he feels more comfortable on the inside. So after spending most of his adult life behind bars, the 73-year-old was released in 2011, but recently decided to rob another bank in hopes of going back. He felt more comfortable in prison, court documents allege, and wanted to spend his final years there. So the balding, gray-haired man leaned on a cane as he walked into the bank. So he goes on here and he says that he allegedly lifted his coat to show the teller a silver revolver, showed his waistband, and he basically didn't have a mask, no disguises. So it says, so law enforcement quickly tracked him down using surveillance photos. It's like, still, I mean, how could they even track him down still? You know what I mean? This is pretty creepy that they can track you down from the bank into some hotel. You know what I mean? I mean, the guy obviously wanted to get caught, but I mean, still, when authorities stopped him on Sunday outside a motel room where he was staying, he immediately threw down his cane and surrendered. His most recent stint behind bars ended in 2011 when he was released after serving 10 years for a 98 bank robbery. His Illinois record also includes multiple felonies dating back decades, so he's gotten his wish. So he can face up to 20 years behind bars. Yeah. This is victim mentality right here, man. And it's hard to make it out there. It says here, Monsanto takes home $23 million from small farmers and seeks to maintain seed oligarchy. The seed giant Monsanto has won more than $23 million from hundreds of small farmers accused of replanting the company's genetically engineered seeds. So another case is looming, of course. That's the one in Indiana. Indiana soybean farmer sees Monsanto lawsuit reach U.S. Supreme Court. On the one side is Bowman, a single 75-year-old Indiana soybean farmer who is still tending the same acres of land as his father before him in rural southwestern Indiana did. On the other hand is gigantic, multi-billion-dollar agricultural business famed for its zealous protection of commercial rights. So it says here the farmer sees it that way. Not that he sees it that way as far as David versus Goliath. I really don't consider it as David and Goliath. I don't think it's of those terms. I think it is of the terms of right and wrong. So it says either way in the next few weeks, Bowman and Monsanto's opposing legal teams will face off in front of America's most powerful legal body. It goes on here, says it will deal with the most fundamental questions of modern industrial farming. Doesn't sound really good, does it? Who controls the rights to the seeds planted in the ground? So we were just talking about this, about Monsanto takes home $23 million from small farmers and seeks to maintain seed oligarchy. Then you have Bill Gates dodges questions on why he owns 500,000 shares of Monsanto. So it goes on here, it says the very same company that has been caught running slave rings in Argentina, talking about Microsoft, in which workers are forced to work 14 plus days while withholding payment, has used their massive finances to fund organizations literally like fake FDA quotes to support GMOs. And I covered this in Battle Cry for a Planet of Victims, the Suicide Belt, India. This is not even taking into account the farmer suicides that occur around every 30 minutes due to Monsanto's failing GMO crop yield, bankrupting small-time farmers in India's notorious suicide belt. Positive note, there's victory. South Carolina upholds freedom of residents to buy, sell raw milk. And pretty interesting to see the actual map of what the laws are out there. But it goes on here, says that they try to stamp out a long-standing state laws, a factory farm that is, that recognize the freedom of individuals who buy and sell raw milk throughout the Palmetto State. But it goes on here, it says that many readers in that called and emailed the South Carolina Farm Bureau in the 11th hour and urging the group to oppose this attempted assault on all natural food product. It just so happens that South Carolina is one of the few states in southeastern United States that continues to recognize the freedom of its residents to buy and sell raw milk at its retail level. Nearby North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, on the other hand, prohibit the retail sales of milk and only allow it to be sold as pet food, making South Carolina a food freedom territory surrounded by Big Brother tyranny. Also talking about hemp, farmers begin planting hemp under new Colorado hemp legalization. So, and now in the case that you're not familiar with, it says hemp is actually a multi-purpose substance that does not produce the high effects of marijuana. In fact, it's mainly used as a super cheap and highly efficient building material. That's why I said like yogurt containers and stuff like that and pop, it could all be made out of hemp materials. At least in other nations where ridiculous bans are not enforced on the high free material. But of course, they got to put out PR pieces like this crap right here. Hemp legalization poses complex issues for all involved in Kentucky. For all involved? Nah, well, for the citizens, it's going to suck because the government and the federal government and state government is still going to try to weasel their way in there and try to tell you what the hell you can and cannot do with plants. So it says a nightmare hemp scenario for Kentucky state police, who are probably just as corrupt as any other state police who seize drugs and just pull people over, indiscriminately and stuff like that to shake them down and steal from them. Apparently, is a field legally licensed to grow hemp for grain with illegally planted marijuana mingled in. Unlike hemp grown for fiber when the plants are inches apart, it says the hemp grown for grain and marijuana plants look substantially the same. Ooh, that's a big problem. So we better just go back and ban hemp. It says both can be shorter and bushy. The only really way to know is to test for THC. It costs hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars, right? And the police are up in arms about that because it means they have to collect more revenue and pull over more cars for not having a turn signal on. But would that really happen? So it goes on here. In Canada, Health Canada's industrial hemp program has never found marijuana growing in hemp fields instead of hemp. So they go in there and they keep making more arguments against it. It's just like, well, why don't you just legalize freaking marijuana then, Operation Overkill as armed cops swoop on Action Man looking for a mortar after owner posts picture of toy weapon on Facebook. It goes on here, says this man posted a photo of Action Man as his profile picture on Facebook. I guess this is it right here. There's the big bad mortar and that. And in the background was a toy mortar gun about 6 inches tall. There was 5 police officers at the door, 2 of them carrying submachine guns, the good guys, of course. Because if they were bad guys, they wouldn't have submachine guns because they're illegal. And they were ready to smash the door open, so it was fortunate that Driscoll was in when they pulled up outside his home. So they come in search of a deadly mortar tube. So it goes on there, and he showed him to the SWAT team that it was a toy. After inspecting the model mortar, the rather embarrassed team of officers apologized and took their leave. What the hell does that show people, though? I mean, what does that show people? If this guy posts something on his Facebook picture, on his page, which I don't even know why he'd be on there, but even if he did that, and then have cops, at your door over the SWAT teaming you over that, it's like, Jesus. I mean, what if you, had some kind of antique weapons or something from the Civil War, World War I? I mean, would you get fucking SWAT teamed because you posted a picture on Facebook over it? Oh, I guess it would be like the Marines, right? The Marine down in Mexico being held over antique rifles. Audio catches cops shouting, "Burn this motherfucker down," during the Dorner siege. So I don't know if this is true. Don't know if this is more conspiracy. But it says scanner audio apparently broadcast by the LA CBS affiliate on Tuesday captured angry officers yelling to "burn this mother effer down" prior to a cabin fire that is thought to have burned the body of fugitive ex-LAPD. See, that's the thing. The cops are used to people just not, regular debt slaves not standing up to them. So when they do, like in the chance of Waco, where in Waco they weren't actually killing anybody or harming anybody, they just want to be left alone, they'll just set you on fire. They'll burn you down, right? They're getting a little hissy fit. Lastly, the executive order, the cybersecurity bill, the press agreed to keep secret for 5 hours. Order setting up new programs aimed at stopping online espionage and terrorism. So this is going to be a voluntary information sharing system. But it's no surprise. I've been seeing a lot of these stories where media just isn't covering anything. Blackouts. Rare media articles expose how the mass media manipulate public opinion. So This is GGN. Thank you.